Downstay. Is this a command that you'd really like your dog to do under any situation, whether you're at a restaurant, you're at a park, you're at the beach? So you've got to first think, how do you teach downstay? Well, we didn't get this the first week, and we didn't get this the first day. You've got to teach downstay with a consistent, clear message. So the first thing we're going to do about downstay, now remember, Harvey has had this for over a week and a half, but we didn't start the downstay. Well, no, actually 2 weeks break. So the downstay was introduced into the second week because I had to first get the commands really understood, such as focus, name response, paying attention and following the leader, a sit with a verbal sit. Before I had to do a placement, I had to do a treat, marker word that would say sit, get him right back up. You want to stay consistent of what you mean by your commands. So you definitely don't want to have, let's go ahead and give her a break because I'm talking. But if you're going to try to teach us downstay, the first rule of thumb is you never teach it without the leash. And again, I'll repeat what I say in a lot of my videos. What happens is parents start when they're babies and they do the stay and they back up and they feel like, oh my gosh, you know your stay. But they don't actually go through the stages that you have to when you finally have distractions. So downstay is a command that is awkward for a dog, number one. They don't do that for each other. And if they do lay down, it has a whole different meaning, right? It has nothing to do with laying in one spot and staying there. But we need that. So we have to teach that as a rule in our pack. You have to make it positive. And a lot of parents, when I get, what I hear is, I don't want a reward. I don't want them to get dependent on a reward. But you got to remember, we all receive rewards, and we're asking them to do something out of the box. It's not natural. It'd be like us going to live like dogs. It would not be natural. There's so much that we would get wrong that we wouldn't even want to do because it's not something we do. Licking each other, I mean, you know what I mean. Now, I'm not going to go a different route with that, but I'm talking about the fact of natural human interaction. That's not a process that we do in our human pack. So when you're teaching downstay, you have to have some other things that are really important. You must stay with them on a leash. Don't start your downstay off the leash and walk away. And then all of a sudden want that same downstay when you have a friend over. You've got to back it up with your extension cord, and you have to practice this command multiple times in multiple places that aren't distractive at first before you start going advanced. So I'm a professional trainer. I can get this much faster than the regular parent. But what I'm telling you are there's definitely rules that you have to stick with on this if you want this success. So I'm using a mat so you have something visual. This also is something that we can turn into place and a down, but today we're only going to use it as a down. So break is her word to let her know she can get up. I'm going to walk her over on the mat. Good girl, sit. Now, if I'm first teaching this and I've already got to have my sit, remember, number one rule, got to have some commands that you do before you try the down. For some parents, sit. For some parents, they use treats to lure, but that's only in the first couple of days. So if I'm luring them into a down, they're following that treat. See, she was taught a little bit of that in the beginning, right? So that's okay, but we can't do that forever, and we want to fade it out. So break. So I'm going to go over, and I took it from a sit to a down. These are the first few days, down. And I had my leash, hand on the leash, placing it with the signal. What do they learn easiest? Signals or verbal commands? Signals. So we don't want to teach always the signal first, and we don't always want to have it the only command, and we definitely don't want to have it where the treat is always in our hand. They will get to where they look for the treat. You got to have them learn the command, paired to the behavior, paired to a signal if you want a signal, paired to what they can then get up, release for. So you definitely want to first do this again, on leash, have a high reward value. So this is almost 2 weeks, but like I said, we just started really getting a good downstay just the past few days. And now we're going to move forward with that, now that she really understands it. She would have gotten up 20 times by now, and I would have had to continue to place her in a down and say it Give her 3 seconds. Remember, you have to have a timeline. If you just keep going down, 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 there's nothing you're doing as the leader. You are the leader. You're teaching her a word like you would a child, paired to a behavior. Great. Good girl. Now, as days go on and I can ask for the down, down. And if I don't get it, down. Mark a word that says, no, that's not right. I need you to down. Good, down. So the first few days I'm giving a treat after I use the marker word down. Then I start to add a distraction, and me walking around, down, down, is a distraction by itself. I don't want to start my stay trying to back up. This is where every parent goes because they think that makes a good stay. No. A good stay is first teaching them, and you have the leash on, so you could grab it right there. I'm close by. I don't want to be at a distance. My feet walking around, because what do dogs do with each other? They follow each other. They're a pack animal. So that's a normal behavior that we have to untrain in our pack. It's instinct for them. Stay. Good, stay. As I mark that and tell her she's doing a good job, I go back over. I'll intermittently reward. Now, these are days later, I start to add a distraction, me just holding a toy. That's a big distraction because she loves this banana. I'm not even going to squeak it yet because her eyeballs are so on this. So after I've done my movement training, a toy distraction training, stay, good girl, I start to build a little bit of a distance, down, and I'm not too far that I couldn't get right back. Now this, if you see what happens with this blanket, or a mat, or a yoga mat, it teaches them a location to stay, which is really important. You want to give them as much success, good stay, as possible. So you want to have something that's very visual, and you're building up a downstay to as long as you might need it. So, like I'm pulling a chair right now, if you can hear the sound. I'm going to walk over, put it down. That's a big distraction. This wouldn't have happened 4 days ago. Good stay. And I'm teaching that a downstay stay no matter what. No matter what's going on in the room. But you must remember this is an advanced move right now. She is not with the leash in my hand. She's staying. We're moving around. Now, if somebody walked in, I would immediately get out of my chair, grab my leash, because she's only a few weeks in. This isn't a 6-week or 10-week trained dog. And when we're training dogs to really get a good downstay, no matter where they're at, each breed, each personality learns very differently. And how old they were when you introduce this. A lot of times, parents don't introduce training until they're done with behaviors and they're just fed up. So now you're undoing things that they may have thought were just normal, like getting up and following you. It all of a sudden is a new rule, and you don't want that. So you've got to be consistent. Now I'm going to get up and tell her good stay, and I mark it because I'm already walking and she stayed. Good stay. Now remember, I'm using the same words. Here's the next rule. Everybody in the household wants to use different words, but they expect the dog to understand what they're trying to train. That's not even fair. We don't do that in our own environment. If we did, we'd have everybody confused and frustrated. So you've got to pick as a family unit one word that you mean for down. Now the second part to that is if they're jumping on me and I want to say down, that doesn't look like this. That would look like 4 paws off of my body. Should that be off? Again, make sure that you're not saying different, you're not correcting or trying to train different behaviors, but you're using the same word for multiple behaviors. Same goes with the marker word. Good is my marker word that she's learned. Good, down, good, stay. I'm pairing the good to the command that I'm teaching. Good, stay. So this isn't really a down anymore, right? Because down is the belly going down. This is a good down stay. So you want to acknowledge that. Now me moving is where I'm staging the environment for her to really learn that even if I'm walking around, you still don't follow me. But I wouldn't leave the room yet. She's not ready for that. That takes That's off leash, more advanced. So you're going to build up to that. You would walk away, be able to walk over to the counter, touch different things. You'd be able to walk over to a door and start to unlock it. Stay. She knows that bell. It's the bell for opening the door. Good, stay. She did that. Excellent. So I might even jackpot that. Now, treats can be faded out of training, but never fully if they're a treat motivated animal, or at least you need to understand how to keep them motivated. And stubborn is a word that you really want to put to the side. Remember, if we don't understand something or we feel we're not being rewarded for something, we start to change our own behavior. If people use different words at work but expected the same behavior, that would be very frustrating, and so would my behavior show it. So you have to, again, look at what does downstay look like in your family? Where do you want it to happen? How long do you want to downstay? And you won't use that word for anything else, like jumping on you, like down. Even if I did lay down, that's not fair. That 4 paws off of me is not down, if that's the word I use. So you've got to use the word. You've got to make sure no one's rewarding. Now here's the other secret, is you'll go out in public or you'll go places or your family members will say, I don't care if they jump on me. And maybe you had the puppies and now it's growing up into an adult, or it was a rescue and you don't know the history. 90% of the time, humans make the hugest mistake. What do you think it might be? When they're so cute, they let them do any behavior. We don't teach them anything. It'd be like having a child crawl all over you, and you would laugh about it, and then one day you don't want them doing it. The child wouldn't get that, and either does the dog. So boundaries in a dog's pack start right away amongst the puppies, amongst the parents. They're consistent, they don't change the rules, and that's how their life would be if they were living with their own kind. They're living with us. So when we're asking our family members or friends, we don't want our dog jumping on them, but you have some that are saying it's okay, you're sending 2 different messages. If people come in and greet your dog like this, hi, this is puppy to puppy. This is not what an elder would do, but that message means jump on me, that's okay. I'm gonna play with you. And if someone corrects the dog for something that the human's doing wrong, remember the human is the one training the dog. So it's never the dog's fault in reality. We always have to look at, why is my dog acting this way, and what have I done, or whoever has been with the dog, or maybe nothing has ever been taught to the dog, to create the problem we're dealing with. So you have to train each behavior you want, make sure that you're using a word paired to the behavior, have a reinforcement that really makes it worth it for the dog. So if somebody came in and I just was like, oh, good, stay, a piece of chicken might be a much higher value to stay. And we work the same way. Our bonuses buy cars or toys or whatever it is. We work hard for a bonus. It's the same psychology, because we're asking them to do something that is not in a dog pack. This is not a behavior they would have to do. So you're training them to have a positive experience. That downstay is a great command. Everybody else you're training too. So the humans can't walk in the door, give them eye contact, look down, bend down. They gotta ignore them and walk past. And you still do the session as a training session until you know your dog and you, and in any environment, understands what that downstay looks like. So I might practice this 4 times a day. I will have my treats ready before I ask it. If I feel I have somebody coming over that cannot follow the rules, I do not do this for the dog and expect them to figure it out when the human can't. And I make sure that it's a positive environment. So the leash has to be on. That's the biggest problem. You hear me repeat it because most parents, when I get to their home after multiple sessions, they'll say, no, I was asking it without the leash on. And, he won't stay. Or she won't stay. And they never practiced it, and they let everybody act the same way. Then who's at fault? We're supposed to be higher in IQ, and we give our kids how long to learn a behavior? We certainly give them longer than we probably give our dogs. And remember, when children are going through learning stages, and humans, adults, we go through certain parts where we're doing good one day, horrible the next, good one day, or the human is inconsistent, and the dog starts to have a confusion that looks like frustration that then is called stubborn. Down. So if I was just talking to you and totally ignored what would happen, then I'm not training, and I shouldn't be doing a dog stay with her. I should do it when I can pay attention, make sure that I've set it up first in a low distraction. Me is a low distraction, right? Just walking around is a distraction. Good stay. Marking the behavior I want, good stay. Picking up different items like different toys eventually, not throwing them, not creating another problem, but just they're in my hand. Good stay. And reminding the dog, yep, even with that, you're doing phenomenal. So I might even do a jackpot for that. What keeps people at the Vegas machines? Now, do I have to train and treat like this forever? No. The goal is that the stay gets longer, you intermittently reward, but that's weeks out. Remember, how long does it take a child to learn or for you to learn a new thing? And I use the car as the example because they never expected us the same day to get in the car, learn the behaviors, learn everything to do, and then go do it under the highway with all the distraction and other people driving around. They did it in stages, and they made sure you understood what to do so it was safe for you and the drivers. But most of all, in a way that you felt positive. If you ever had anybody get mad at you and nothing was clear enough, you don't do better, you do worse. You know, we all have a different way of learning, and so do dogs. And our breed has different distractions. So if I have a German Shepherd who's a working breed and a hunter terrier, they have two different brains. Their focus, if I had a hunter and I threw something across the floor, that's a hunter. That's like, ooh, let's go get it. If I had a German Shepherd, they want to work for you. So their DNA is wired, we are a team. What's my job? What do you want me to do? And that's what they focus on. But again, with that too, remember a downstay, if I have a cattle dog or a high energy dog, down, then I need to teach, I need to make sure I'm giving appropriate exercise, appropriate chew time. Those are two things they would get in the natural environment with their pack. So for Shepherd, my Shepherd took 4 hours. Well, I'll tell you, it was 2 hours almost every day, whether I broke it up in the morning or did it in the evening. And she still went to the doggy daycare with me, to my shop. And for this particular Shepherd, that was still not enough. I had to do it at least 4 or 5 times a week. And I had to really make sure she got exhausted. That's not her running a fence line, running outside and playing with other dogs. That's not running just herself with a ball. That's truly taking that energy and having her work for me as a pack member, and we go out and exercise. So let's review. You've got to first make sure your dog knows some commands. Name, response, sit. It's great if they know sit, stay. And then you also want to know that you know what words everyone's using, what you're going to reward. If you're only doing hand signals or verbal command, how are you going to teach it? Keeping it where there's sessions so you don't ask this command if you're watching TV or cooking dinner. And you always do it first until they're advanced, and this leash wouldn't matter if it was on or off, which you can tell we're getting farther in advance. But if I walked out the door, she's not ready for that. So I wouldn't take this leash off until we're much further along, because that takes a lot more work. And they have to learn to stay in a downstay forever, how long, until another command comes. If you notice, this also teaches calming skills. They learn to just chill out. So it's an important command, and it's one you do standing, sitting, different rooms. So remember, it's practice makes perfect for you and the dog. And not allowing a dog to just randomly get up at other times is really important. So keep your rules, keep your commands, know your reward, pick your locations, set it up for success, And when they get up, and if you've delayed and you're walking in the other area and they come running, you take them back to the same spot. So mats can help. It becomes a visual. And that's it. If you like this, please hit like or share. Lots of people need to know how to train their dogs. We have a ridiculous number in the pounds that dogs are being euthanized due to 90% poor behavior. Not that they caused it. They didn't cause it. Humans have to learn that when you get a dog, we need to communicate to them beyond just little commands and really help them learn how to live in a human pack, because they're just totally different rules. All right, be good.